Hello, family. I am gonna do the June energy report. Be video. I've written it out several times and it keeps changing, which is how multidimensional goes. Is because there's so much and it's all relative to different frequency bandwidths and vibrational existences, vibrational alignment. Um, the level of consciousness that we function from deep inside of ourselves and understanding the physical experience, the physical reality, and how it correlates to our consciousness or unconsciousness or our programming, and how the physical body density comes into play with that too. But before I start going off in all these different directions, which I'm not gonna do all of it, I can write something up and share it. I have like 3 different writings and they all go in different directions, of course, which is how this rolls. June 1st, Embody Universe? Talking to myself. What's the energy that I'm going to share for June? There are dominant energies, if you will, dependent on where we all function from. And so if I function from a place of fear, then my reality is going to be very different. If I'm in survival mode and protection mechanisms, and my body is anchored in what we refer to as the third dimension, which is just ego consciousness, unconscious programming that's held in our physical bodies, that's got to clear. And it's all the survival mode, it's all the safety mechanisms, it's all the protection stuff, it's all the disempowered states, it's all give my power away, it's all believe what I'm told, believe what I learned, believe everything. There's no challenging of each person's belief system and where that came from, and not understanding, when there's an awakening process that wakes everybody up, that goes on for years and years and years. It's not an overnight process because there's so much density inside of our body that's got to be cleared. And then there's an ascension process, which is a different part of the process. And so the awakening process can take as long as it has to take. It can be as rough or as harsh or as simple or as easy as we allow it to be. Because it entails so many different facets of a journey, then it's not an overnight process. It takes a long time to break through all those illusions, to bring the distortions into light, to bring our own limited and conditioned perceptions, which the human aspect will battle as truth, which is a whole new different ball game within itself. These are, when I first went through one of my very first massive, because we have many along the way, where I separated it off into 2 beings, a higher self and then my human self. I was able to observe everything as my higher self, but then observe the ridiculousness, observe the self-created chaos, observe the mindsets and the perceptions. And there were many things that came through in that moment. And one of them was that everything was somebody's perception. None of it was real. And that alone was just mind-blowing at that point. Now it's just like, oh yeah, perception. When you get into diamond light code consciousness, then it's multifaceted perceptions, and you can see from multiple perceptions, which then will correlate to alternate realities, and you can get into seeing all these things that weren't available before. When each one of us hold that highest state of consciousness, and we allow everything to come into alignment, we allow vibrational alignment, energetics, okay? But it's so much more than that. So I'm gonna keep this one simple, as simple as I can. Vibrational alignment. New Earth is a vibrational alignment. New Earth is many things. New Earth is everybody living from their highest states of consciousness and having an actual different experience, completely different than the old. Nothing like the old. New Earth is limited by each person's limits. New Earth is only accessible through purity of our heart. New Earth is only becomes visible as we clear the heavy-duty density that we hold inside of ourselves, all the conditioning, all the all of that stuff. And it's going to go so far beyond all of our human perceptions, which is why everybody that teaches or shares through higher consciousness is sharing the knowledge and the information that actually will come into making a difference for everybody who utilizes this information. Gatekeepers and grid keepers, whatever words we want to use, we serve different roles and stuff. We gain access to the information and the knowledge and the light encoded data, and we take it and we put it into the human language. So we take quantum existences and we bring them in and we put the pieces and the parts together to explain processes. We bring the knowledge and the how to do all of this and share that knowledge for those who are actually ready. There are a lot of people say, no, I don't want any part of this. No, it messes with my world. No. And that's totally okay too, just because we have codons in our body that those codes will turn on when it's time for us to have that experience. One of the things to really understand along this journey is that the more we resist and don't want to hear that things need to change, the more we resist and don't want to listen, the harsher the journey is. And so complete ego surrender, complete of your whole body, of every thought, of your the drama and the chaos and the feelings and the blame and the shame and the guilt and all of the judgment and all this stuff. Surrendering it all, let it go, let it all go, and come back to this place inside of us. It's very simple. It's utter and complete peace. There's no chaos. There's no confusion. There's no battle. There's nothing. It's just beautiful. This is not what I was going to talk about, which is how we roll. You guys know me. Okay. Jen's energy report. For those who are embracing New Earth realities from inside, you get to see New Earth. You get to see higher consciousness Earth, not only from inside of you, but through your own experiences, which will be relative to your inner reality, playing it out outside, which is awesome. When you bring the human ego avoids the inner reality. It doesn't want to feel that. It doesn't want to see that. It doesn't want to deal with that. And part of the process is going inside. Hear, see, feel. Clear all that stuff out, move through it, process it, get it out of our bodies, allow our bodies to release. There are a conscious way to do this that can be simple, or it can be as extreme as it needs to be. Those of us who were deeply unconscious, we chose the extreme, which is how we learn, which is how we understand. That's where knowledge comes from. That's what teaches us, don't do that. That's what teaches us, don't keep repeating that cycle. That's what teaches us. That's how we learn, you know? And so the beauty is once you get it, really get it fully on a quantum level, you don't have to keep recreating and having those experiences anymore. And that involves everything, every aspect of our life, which is the beauty of this, because a template build applies to every aspect of your life and every act you take and everything, the whole thing. So I'm coming back. June energies. I woke up, and it's actually been playing ever since. And the song was A Whole New World from Aladdin, A Whole New World. And I remember when I first awoke to New Earth inside of me, and then the actual experiences in my own reality. A Whole New World was one of the songs that play. There are many of them that will play along the way that tell you which dimension, which portal, which gateway you're moving through, what's available, and what they will remind us and help us remember certain things. And so music, songs are really important along the way. They open portals to other realms, they open portals to new realities, they open portals inside of us, all those gateways and all those corridors and all of that we didn't have access to before. gives us access to actually tune in to a completely different reality and anchor and bring that one here. It's called actualizing your realities instead of just sitting around talking about them and what if and the possibilities. And yes, there are always so many possibilities, so many potentials, so many things available to every person who's really actually truly ready to embrace the brilliance of all that this can be. It is going to be a challenging process because the physical body, as your light body activates, your physical body has to clear all the density, all the heavy duty stuff. It's got to be cleared. And it was all housed in our physical body. Our DNA has to constantly rewrite itself. Our entire physical body has to constantly restructure our reality from the inside out. And so when you're able to start seeing in the gridding systems and start seeing in the schematics and the blueprints and all of the things that show you get to see, it becomes this completely holographic, beautiful, full-on experience with this imaginary reality through our unified field of consciousness that's only visible when we're completely in tune and connected and wide open to all new things and show a whole new world. When we woke up, there was a considerable difference, which has been happening when we do these monthly template rebuilds, which is a complete restructuring of every reality. So our reality is what used to take 1.5 years, 2 years to do. Those who are actively and consciously doing this in unison with Gaia, universally, cosmically, then you're able to actually do the restructuring and the template builds and the breaking down of all programs on a quantum level, which is a whole lot easier because they happen and occur naturally and easily because you're in tune and in unison and you're functioning and you're flowing in divine alignment, and it's no big deal. The eventually all the heavy body density and all the body stuff goes, but that takes a while too. So be patient, be kind, love, and support your physical light body. Every dimension has a light body. It's just that the we go from the 3rd dimension to the 12th dimension with light body phases. And so all the different light body phases are relative to the frequency bandwidth that we actually occupy and live with, live in, live from, experience, our realities. And so what's going on, if you will, just to make a point, in the 3rd dimension and the 5th dimension are polar opposites. Well, when you get into the 3rd dimension, 5th dimension, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12th dimension, what's going on in the 5th dimension? 3rd dimension and 12th dimension are completely, they're not even in the same space. They're visible way out there in virtual land. You can see them holographically. You can see others having those experiences, but they don't actually appear in your reality, which is actually beautiful. If they do, you understand your role. If they do, you understand the importance. If you do, you understand what your capabilities are and what you're here to be and do. For all, moving into, if you will, I'm using the word higher or lower for a moment because when I have to use a duality, a polarity comparison, then it's higher or lower. But for all who are returning to pure source consciousness, to live from unity consciousness inside, then your experience is going to be very different than when you were playing in separation, we all. When we were all playing in the programming, when we were all believing the old stuff, moving beyond all of that and living beyond the veils of amnesia is a very pure and beautiful existence. It's not complicated, but it takes a lot of words to explain because you're always breaking down matrix programs. You're always breaking down the old and trying to explain all the pieces and the parts, which are just massive because every little thing has an entire matrix to it. And so you have the 3D matrix is the ego matrix, 5D is the unity matrix. When the higher you go is more, by the time you get to 12D, you've been working every aspect in service to humanity. And so 12D is a humanitarian, a service. Everything, but it's also a completion to everything, so as we go up the rung of the ladder is what I've been calling it lately. through embodying all these different levels of consciousness, it actually gets a whole lot simpler and a whole lot easier, and there's no struggle, and there's no fight, and there's no only, I was at a group of girls over the other night. We were doing some stuff together, which is beautiful when you start connecting with everybody again, and everybody's heart is wide open, and everybody in some capacity is living this. Then it just becomes a synchronization process to see if our roles are aligned, to see if our realities are able to vibrationally align, to see if we want to, are able, if there's any desire to invest in creating and what I call co-joining our realities. It's a very different experience to co-join realities that have already been created and accomplished, versus the always. And so we can share our realities, which is beautiful. If certain things align for that to occur, which then turn into contribution and a sharing on a whole new level, where everybody receives based upon unlimited, infinite sharing of everything, because the more you share, the more is available for everybody, which is a key code we built into unity consciousness, is that the more we hold out for ourselves on a human level, the less we get, which is when it's time to really start awakening and moving into the ascension process. Then it all becomes about unity, and unity actually becomes your abundance here. Consciousness becomes your abundance, because you live from a state of abundance inside, and you actually care, and you actually contribute, you actually step up and fulfill your roles, you actually share, you support, you it's a very different existence, but there's also no feeding the old. There's no supporting the continuation and the perpetuation of the old. There's a, let's bring this into a higher state of consciousness, and then seeing if everybody's ready for that. And so it's a very different existence, if you will, because you're returning everything back to our original states, which is very pure. It's very beautiful. So July is a whole new world. And so for everybody who has been, I'm using the word working, which is just embracing fully. But the level of work it takes on our part with our light bodies, it is quite immense for a while. It's a changing of our priorities in every capacity, and shifting our entire reality away from the old ways. And so we don't function the same way, we don't live the same way. Everything is on a quantum level through our consciousness, versus being focused on the physical reality. The physical reality is a vibrational response to our consciousness. And so when we start to understand that, maintaining our absolute highest states of consciousness, unity, love, purity, openness, sharing, respect, deep sacred, I'm going to do a video at some point on deep sacred respect, because there's, one thing I learned along this way is I was always teaching people respect. It takes forever to teach respect. There's no deep sacred connection on a human level. There's no deep sacred respect for everything. And so, I see a lot of people, they're like, there's no respect. That comes through your own deep connection within yourself and your deep sacred respect for yourself. The more you love and respect yourself, the more you're capable of loving and respecting all things and others too. And so if we don't hold that inside for absolutely everything, we don't have the capability to hold it and experience that in our reality with others. And a lack of respect, that deep sacred connection, will actually start closing doors, portals, realities. Because that is actually a requirement for us to all coexist and come together and work together. And I told somebody the other day, a whole group of people that I was working with, I'm like, how do you expect to live a unified existence of pure unity, love, consciousness, if you can't even do it with one person or your family or your whole household or wherever you live? If you can't do it in that unit, how are you going to do it globally and with everybody else on the earth? Earth is our home. Therefore, there's, starting to understand how this works is really important for everybody, because there's so much joy, there's so much peace, there's so much ease. if we will allow it to be. So, a whole new world. When you wake up, expect to experience a different reality. Expect, not from entitlement. That's a whole different story. There's a lot of that energy's got to go too. Entitlement shuts the door. So there are a lot of things that we have to shift our perception of everything in order to actually receive with great ease. And so this entire process is relearning everything all over again. And so relearning, which is re-educating ourselves and each other through the highest, absolute highest states of consciousness, pure source consciousness, and living this here. Not going back unconscious, not forgetting, living from that remembered state, which is absolutely beautiful. That's what makes a difference for everybody here. And so, a whole new world. And every day, if you expect to have an amazing experience, if you expect and you look for it, it's going to be subtle at first. It's the subtle realms. But then it's no longer subtle. It's in everything. It's in every experience. It's in every aspect of your life. It's in every exchange. And so by each person holding and living this fully, and not playing out the games of separation, not playing out the duality, not playing it out, not perpetuating, not recreating it, not bringing it forth, not allowing it to continue to occur, then what you're doing is you're allowing for a whole new world. You're allowing for a whole new reality, and a completely beyond words one. That really, it takes experiencing it to understand. And so the beauty is now collectives are experiencing this, and they're getting it, and they're like, oh, this is beautiful, this is amazing. Yes, it is. So, a whole new world. That's going to be my June energy report. It's a whole new reality. And infinite possibilities, infinite potentials, going to be relative to what you're creating and sharing and bringing forth. And so if you are holding out in any way, my words through the years were, where we hold back is our lack. And so holding that energy, that beautiful divine essence within us, holding that, and then living our lives completely from that place. There will be times you have to bring your power out. That's a part of the process too, is because you don't give your power away anymore. You don't accept the old or less as reality. That's not reality. Okay? That was unconscious programming. So, when you start to, when each one of us start to really realize that reality is as we accept it to be. Reality is as we support. Reality is as we believe. And when you shift your mentalities, your beliefs, your energy completely, and open completely up. In the beginning, none of this is going to look like any one thought. None of it. There are certain processes of clearing out a ridiculous amount of programming and separation inside that will occur in order for each person to come back to a place of remembrance, a place of remembering. It's called awakening to remembering for a reason. You start out awakening, and you move to the remembering process, right? Allow yourself the beauty. Allow yourself to just experience what's actually available when you open your heart completely and embrace a whole new reality that looks nothing like your ego aspect, your human aspect thought this was going to be. There will be certain things that we have to complete in order. I call them initiation processes. They're passageways. Once a portal to a new reality opens, potential, possibility, opportunity, then the passageway through that will be when we come out on the other side. That's a part of going through gateways and vortexes on a multidimensional level. It is the passageway through is going to be your everyday experience, and you come out on the other side where the reality actually exists, where it's created. And so when you have, when we get into traveling through light, when we get in through teleportation, and we get into some of these other things, we do this The only difference is how we do it. It is only understood through the actual experience, because the how comes from actually doing it and accomplishing it. And our quantum jumps and all of these things, the jumps become bigger. The landings, for a while, it takes a while to master the landings, because you're kerplunking in different realities for a while, and everything's coming at you to accomplish and do, and learning how to function from 0 point, and everybody being brought back to 0 point. We will stay there for a while before certain things shift and change, and create from that space and experience from that space. But when we first come through to the 5th dimension, if you will, we have limited access. We only get to see certain things. We get to see a lot, but then our vision is still limited. We don't actually get to see everything that we get to see, let's say, from the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 12th dimension. Once we get, into oversoul consciousness, which is the whole monad, which is avatar consciousness, but it's a living this. We have very different lives, and we're not running around in our ego in any capacity. That's the old ways. And so it's very simple. Everything we do transmits those codes, so that every person who is open to receive and accept can receive very easily. And so this is not a complicated existence. It's very easy and simple, if each will allow it to be. So, a whole new world, new earth, a whole new world. Are you ready for all new realities? Are you embracing everything anew? Are you completely open to being mind blown, which is part of the process, and all new everything that transcends human control? I was observing the other day, and it was, watching the human scramble around trying to control, still trying to control everything. That's not how this works. This is complete surrender. This is honor on a soul level, which is very different than this is soul aligned, not human aligned. And so you have the man-made realities, and then you have the soul aligned realities, and they look nothing like the other one does. And so really looking at your realities to start to understand how you're living is really, really important for us all. And to realize that each one of us, when from our actual highest state of consciousness, heart wide open, fully connected, deeply in tune, tears of joy, such magic, such appreciation, such beauty, that's where everybody has the ability to shift and tune their entire reality and align it very easily. But we all have to get to that point. And so all of the delay, all of the excuses, all the stories, all the judgment, all the getting caught up in all this other stuff, is what each person will have to work through in order to resolve all of that inside. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. I'll finish up with this. And, trying to explain to people you don't have limits. The only limit we have is other humans, if you will. And the reason I say that is the ego is the limit. The ego is the block. And so dissolving and dismantling and completely surrendering and relinquishing the whole ego system, the whole thing. It's a matrix program. The whole thing is everything. You have the crystalline matrix, which is a completely different everything. It's built on a Christed and crystalline energies and a whole new platform and structure. And then you have 3D, 4D, 5D. There are different matrix systems, and they're all actually different geometrics too. And so the gridding systems and the foundation for each reality is very different as well. And how each one functions is very different too. So as each person starts to really understand that the only limit we have is our own ego, and our own fixed mentalities and our own fixed beliefs and everything that everybody insists on and tries to keep imposing and as reality, then as everybody relaxes and opens up and realizes that that's not reality, okay? That was a fabricated reality. That's what everybody believed. That was an illusion of a reality. Reality is completely different. And so when we start to really live from this place, then our priorities change, our realities completely change, and our human ego doesn't like change. So you have to really be open and ready and excited for what's coming. Because what's coming is always more awesome than what was coming before, if you're truly open. If your heart is closed and you're in your head and you're running in the loop circles and stuff, then that's going to be a very different reality. And that one has a completely different experience that would take me a little while to go in to explain. I'm not going to do that today. Today, it's a whole new reality. It's a whole new world. So enjoy June, and embracing all your new realities and all the potentials and all the possibilities and all the opportunities that come forth. And realize that every moment we're learning something new, we're seeing new things, we're living from anew, but technically we're not. We're actually living from realities that were pre-created on a multidimensional level that already exist. And so in order to bring them all here, we have to anchor the light inside of us. We have to hold all of that photonic light. Our DNA has to restructure and rewrite itself. Our body templates, our whole reality has to be aligned vibrationally with all new codes. And so when we start to really understand how this works, it becomes so simple and so easy. So open up, be ready, get excited, honor your light body. Come from that deeply connected place inside and realize that each person is going to receive exactly according to what they hold, exactly to what we put out to experience here, exactly how we show up. And it's all vibrational, which is nothing like the old. I love you guys. Have an amazing everything. And I'll be putting some other announcements out. So, but for now, enjoy June. It's going to be off the charts amazing. We woke up, the last few days have just been off the charts energy every day. They're beautiful. So enjoy. I love you. Mahalo.